The act, as Minnesota has won 9 of its last 11 games. Who will step up and lead the way tonight?
Team 4 times minutes has an average of under 1 and a 96 save percentage. Scrivens has faced the Wild twice in his career, both coming last season, both losses to the Minnesota Wild.
We're underway in Edmonton. And you see the starting lines for Minnesota at the bottom of your screen. Mild change at the second line right wing spot. Justin Fontaine takes the place of Jordan Schrader, who bumps down to the third line for Minnesota. Otherwise, the forward combo is the same as they were in Calgary on Wednesday night. And on defense, Matt Dumba moves up, and he'll play with Marco Scandella after the injury to Jared Spurgeon against the Flames Wednesday. Christian Folin, recalled from Iowa, he will be paired with Nate Prosser as the third defensive set for Mike Yeo tonight. Matt Dumba with it. Ahead for Fontaine at center. And across. Parise carries in for Minnesota. A shot. Pad save Scrivens. Fontaine on the rebound. Flipped it wide. Fontaine goes across to Parise. Parise recovers the puck along the boards. Back to the point for Dumba. Back into the corner for Parise. Fontaine has it behind the net for Minnesota. To the point. Scandella a drive. And it was deflected by Granlund, but wide. Fontaine in the circle for Minnesota. Takes a look. Plays it in behind the net for Parise. Parise trying to escape a check. Granlund has it. Fontaine was lurking in the slot area. Granlund able to hold the zone for a moment, but the Oilers now come to center. Purcell had it poked away at neutral ice. Parise sends it back into his own zone, and the Wild will make a change.
Well, this is a good pace, especially with the way the Wild are handling it, getting the puck in deep and firing the puck just from every angle that they can.
Coyle lost it here at center. Roy in, drops to Yakupov. His shot was blocked, and Ryan Suter plays it to the line. It's held, and a long shot on goal. Glove.
It's also not necessarily the thing this young team needs to do. They're playing a lot better. We talked about in the open, they have beaten some teams that you wouldn't necessarily expect them to beat. But that's how a team can spoil the party for you if you let them. You wouldn't necessarily expect them to beat, but that's how a team can spoil the party for you if you let them.
Jared Spurgeon on the line for Minnesota after he took a puck to the face in Calgary Wednesday. It's our Sanford Health injury report.
Yeah, he just kind of peeked around, and apparently he didn't see the puck until it was like 3 feet in front of him. And he took a pound, and apparently he didn't see the puck until it was like 3 feet in front of him. And really little time to react.
Tuesday, it's our Sanford Health injury report.
Yeah, he just kind of peeked around, and apparently he didn't see the puck until it was like 3 feet in front of him. And really little time to react. So he won't play this evening. The Minnesota Wild will have to call upon guys to step up in their minutes that may not necessarily use those kind of minutes. We saw that Dumba did it well last game. We'll see if everyone can do it here this evening with Folin being called up and into the lineup.
The challenge on Wednesday was that Spurgeon went out after playing only a minute and a half. Tonight, they have the luxury of starting the game with 6 defensemen. Christian Folin back from Iowa. Up to the line. Pouliot holds for Edmonton. It's deflected into the corner. Buckarine in there. Leaves it behind for Frazier. Frazier hands it off at the point. And Dubnyk will set it up behind the net for Ryan Suter. Suter starts ahead for the Wild. Bayou at center, unable to tip it into the Edmonton zone, and we get a whistle as looks like this deflection caught Frazier up high. That's I think Schultz down, and he's feeling up around that ear hole, and we've seen players get nailed up there before, and it's on the area obviously that ear guard or any kind of plastic piece that hangs down there is just not going to help very much, and he gets a deflection right up. He's a part of their top power play, and see if he is able to return after getting looked at. Top D pair as well leads the Oilers in time on ice per game, just over 22 minutes a night. Schultz heads down the tunnel for the Oilers. Klinkhammer plays it around behind for Gordon. Gordon bumped by Poland, and Mikko Koivu scoops up the puck for Minnesota. Floats one out through center, trying to get it to Pominville. Niederreiter comes up with the puck for the Wild. Back to Brodin. Brodin fires it in from just outside the Edmonton line. Marincin tips it up the boards. Lloyd Gordon there to support. He spins away from a hit and got it to Matt Hendricks. Hendricks sends it down into the Minnesota zone. Scandella back to pick it up. He's ridden out hard by Klinkhammer. Wild efficiently back the other way. Koivu with it at center. Scandella in stride into the Edmonton zone, but Niederreiter was in early, and it's offside against Minnesota. Well, Scandella has that ability, and I like it when he does decide to use that speed that he has and get into the offensive zone. He's playing alongside Matt Dumba, who has the potential to be that type of player. But the Wild want him to concentrate a little bit on his game in his own zone first, and then make good choices when he's trying to turn things back offensively. Dumba races ahead for Minnesota to Fontaine, but the pass was in his skates, and the Wild offside at the Edmonton line. Minnesota's recent surge has come on the shoulders of Devin Dubnyk. Not surprising, these numbers coincide with his arrival. Our Toyota Key stat says Minnesota 11-2-2 since he arrived. That's the best record in the National Hockey League.
He's given the Wild the freedom and the flexibility to play their game. The confidence that they feel in him and that he feels in the way that they play in front of him is very evident.
Parisi into the Edmonton. And Dumba races ahead for Minnesota to Fontaine, but the pass was in his skates, and the Wild offside at the Edmonton line. Minnesota's recent surge has come on the shoulders of Devin Dubnyk. Not surprising, these numbers coincide with his arrival. Our Toyota Key stat says Minnesota's recent surge has come on the shoulders of Devin Dubnyk. Not surprising, these numbers coincide with his arrival. Our
that they feel in him and that he feels in the way that they play in front of him is very evident.
Parisi into the Edmonton zone. Sends it across for Scandella. Lines and fires, and a save by Scrivens.
Tags this one that can scare guys away from really committing to that block shot.
Fane behind the net for Edmonton.
And you saw that in the entire lane that he had towards the goaltender with the slapper.
Schrader into the corner. Trying to escape Clefbaum out to the point. Suter has it for Minnesota. To Vanek. Vanek trying to send one to the corner. It's intercepted. And now a floating pass for Yakupov. But Suter catches up with the play to break it up. Hamilton couldn't get a shot away. Hamilton stick breaks. That allows Schrader a chance to send it out for Minnesota. Cross ice for Vanek. That's intercepted and dumped back in by Ferentz.
Yakupov got a very bad bounce. It was a Wild bounce rather than an Oiler bounce. It bounced back, almost had backspin on it. Instead of bouncing forward, you know that Yakupov has speed and skill. It was a good break for the Wild. Good job by good job by Brodin to get back into play and become a defensive stalwart back there on the breakup of the play.
Puckarinen at neutral ice. Back to Fraser, who carries it into the Minnesota zone. Dumps to the corner, works around Prosser. Finds Pouliot in the corner. Pouliot back out to the point. Marincin with a shot. It goes off the end glass. Niederreiter trying to create traffic along the wall, but the Oilers hold. Dubnyk gloves and holds.
Well, Yakupov got a nice flip shot as it was turned over just inside the offensive blue line for the Wild, and that meant Yakupov was looking for something but just didn't get it. Right here, look at good stick there by Brodin getting back into the play, and that's what we talked a lot about Dumba. Brodin showing that he obviously can do that as well, and the Wild are going to try and slow this young guy down because he has been very, very consistent lately.
Wild control this draw. Faceoffs have gone Edmonton's way early. They've won 6 of the first 8. This time it allows Minnesota a chance to clear the zone. Oilers quickly have it back. Purcell back in his own zone. Niederreiter trying to create traffic along the wall, but the Oilers hold. Dubnyk gloves it up after to the over just inside the offensive blue line for the Wild, and that meant Yakupov was looking for something,
Crystal
but just didn't
Glass
get it.
for
Right
all
here.
your glass and
there by
plumbing.
Brodin getting back into the play.
Another pad save by Cantal. You watch his head. He's looking at that puck. He sees it all the way. Good job by Darnell Nurse in front of the net, allowing the pass to the puck to be seen by Cantal.
Talked about it right short of the assist on that goal by Milan Lucic. So Jordan Eberle has got a 5-game point streak.
Looking for something, but just didn't get it right here. Look at good stick there by Brody.
Allowing the pass to the puck to be seen by Cantal.
Talked about it right short of the assist on that goal by Milan Lucic. So Jordan Eberle has got a 5-game point streak.
And that's what we talked a lot about double digits. Have it back. Purcell back in his own zone.
Next forward. Team Slayer, 12 minutes, 18 seconds. 12 minutes, 12 minutes.
Battle for the puck at the red line. Howlett tips it into Edmonton territory. And now Jonas Brodin has it for Minnesota. Brodin reaches center ice, still with the puck, then fires it into the Oilers zone. Minnesota will change defenseman. Scrivens plays it up the boards. And the Oilers have it. Parisi on the forecheck as Spain sends it ahead. Out of the reach of Hendricks. Icing waved off. Marco Scandella goes back to picking up for Minnesota. Ducks under a Klinkhammer check. Granlund has it at center to Fontaine. Fontaine into the Edmonton zone. Put on the brakes along the boards and lost the puck. Klinkhammer starts it back for Edmonton. Fires it into the Wild zone. Hendricks back to Gordon, but it's out the center, and Fontaine carries it in to Parisi and then to Granlund. Granlund couldn't get a shot away. It was tipped by Klefbom. Parisi hammers one just wide. Granlund quickly on it. This line has looked sharp early for Minnesota. Fontaine to Parisi, and then Klefbom plays it ahead. Klinkhammer carries to neutral ice. Hendricks along the boards for Edmonton. Up by Dumba. Centering pass intercepted by Fontaine. And Fontaine spins back the other way for Minnesota. Trying to drag one through the feet of Yakupov. Yakupov got enough of it to break it up. The Wild change. And the Oilers have it at center. Derek Roy back into his own zone. And now across to Klefbom. Klefbom up the boards. Tipped into the Wild zone. Roy has it. Centers! And Charlie Coyle sprawls to break it up.
Well, that's the job of a centerman, to be back in the zone as one of the forwards, the first forward even, and he was. Boy, did he get back quickly.
Yakupov has it poked away by Scandella. Owley holds the zone. Centering pass winds up along the far boards. Owley grabs it, sends it in low. It's out of the reach of Hamilton. Pouliot. And now Puckarinen walks out front. Dubnyk down, and Prosser sweeps one away. Scandella slow to his feet behind the play. Oilers have a chance. Bannock comes away with it for Minnesota. Scandella really limping as he heads to the bench for Minnesota.
Yeah, he couldn't even skate that off. It looked like he took a loop and, boy, tested it out, and he did not like what he felt as he finally got to the bench.
Pouliot dumps it into the Minnesota zone. This pass tipped away by Suter, and Niederreiter has it for the Wild at center to Pominville in stride. Pominville puts on the brakes, drops it back to Brodin. Brodin works his way down low, fires, and it's tipped by Niederreiter but wide. Ryan Suter holds for Minnesota. His shot over the top of the goal. Pominville at the point, keeps it in. Niederreiter in the corner, leaves it for Mikko Koivu. Koivu spins away from Ferentz. Back to Pominville and then around the boards. Brodin pinches to hold. Oilers come away with the puck, and they come to center ice. Heavy hit at neutral thrown by Niederreiter. Puckarinen wobbled a bit as he heads back to the Oiler bench. Suter ahead to Koivu, carries to center. Koivu fires one in. First man there's Parisi. Knocked away from him by Fane. Oilers come through neutral. Dumba got a piece of it. Eberle works to the outside. Eberle protects the puck, tried to center. It's loose and Prosser sweeps it away. Fane holds his own for Edmonton. Good jump for the Oilers here for about the last 4 or 5 minutes. Granlund plays it up the boards, held by Eberle. Granlund now takes it away, and the Wild have a 3-on-2. Granlund with Fontaine and Parisi. Fontaine trying to go across to Parisi, and Nugent Hopkins got a stick on it.
The situation here in Edmonton is that the bench is not next to or close to or attached to the Wild locker room. So we're watching Scandella. He's still on the bench.
The Wild score deflected in. Stick on it.
The situation here in Edmonton is that the bench is not next to or close to or attached to the Wild locker room. So we're watching Scandella. He's still on the bench. Option here in Edmonton is that the bench and that's to do a little belt
because Ben with offense was up 1 goal of the year here at Rexall Place. Points in his last 4 games, and Minnesota's up 1-0 here at Rexall Place. Icing here against the Oilers. The bad news was right after Fontaine scored, Marco Scandella was helped off the ice and into the locker room.
as I
Keyboard switch. Windows N. Desert N. Telus X. Power. Pause keyboard short. 0%.
The hit along the wall. Lost the puck. Roy carries it back for Edmonton. Roy lost it to Brodin at the Minnesota line. His pass behind Vanek. Icing waved off, and the Oilers will have to play it. Nail Yakupov starts ahead. One of 3 first overall picks for the Oilers in the last 5 years. Yakupov dumps it in. Dubnyk plays it behind the net for Minnesota. Gives it to Koivu, wraps it off the boards. But the deflection behind Pominville allows the Oilers to dump it right back in.
So Spurgeon went off under a minute 30 in the Calgary game. Or after playing under a minute 30.
Here's a chance back the other way. Dubnyk with a save on Roy's shot. Yakupov, watched by Suter in the corner. Tries to center. Hamilton was there, but Koivu intercepts and throws one off the glass all the way down into the Oilers zone.
And to finish my point, hopefully Marco Scandella's 4 minutes and 20 minutes played, or 4 minutes and 20 seconds played, isn't the last we see from him.
Wild on top, 1-0 on a goal by Justin Fontaine here in Edmonton.
Matt Dumba, career high minutes played last game, 18-20, and a lot of it, the successful part of it, certainly was the good stick. You see how he has it extended, had very good gap control on line rushes by the Flames. That really limits their chances, and then of course, using stick-on puck mentality, does it all the way down, slowing up any progression by the Flames, and then help from the D partner, and then away he goes to turn that puck up. Another thing the Wild defense coaches want is stick on ice. Right here he has it up in the air, but watch how quickly he gets it back down to the ice and takes that puck away. The Wild were able to transition and score a goal there. It was Fontaine's goal. Fontaine has another one here tonight, and Matt Dumba may be called upon to play again higher minutes as Scandella is not in the game anymore. Played, or 4 minutes and 20 seconds played isn't the last we see from him.
He picked up his face-off dribbles. Leon Draisaitl, he was 3 for 4 in that first period. Leon Draisaitl was leading the team, almost 53% success rate for Leon in the dot.
By the Flames, and then
Something at the Edmonton Oilers first on. We practice every game face-off. They were trying to it's pucks, and they go on competition against each other. We're great face put these types of athletes up against each other at competitive juices trying to get those scores.
Like Kessler, you got 2 guys here tonight. Along with Tyler
called upon to play
again. He's got 3.
Matt Dumba, if he agreed with that, and he said, well, I hadn't really thought about it, but now that you mentioned it, yeah, it felt pretty good.
Well, I'm glad you convinced him.
Attention season ticket holders. Earn bonus points through Wild Rewards. Enter the code VISOR under your My Profile page to receive 100 bonus points. Offer ends midnight tomorrow. I asked Dumba how he thought his game was progressing, and he said he feels more confident in his own zone. He said the offer, enter the code VISOR under your My Profile page to receive 100 bonus points. Offer ends midnight tomorrow. I asked Dumba how he thought his game was progressing, and he said he feels more confident in his own zone. He asked Matt Dumba if he agreed with that, and he said, well, I hadn't really thought about it, but now that you mention it,
St. Louis Blues, the one thing you have to worry about is Tarasenko is his shot. This is not one of his best, but he gets that puck off his stick in a hurry. Pretty hard for a goaltender to pick up his release point. 4 goals already this season.
I asked Dumba how he thought his game was progressing, and he said he feels more confident in his own zone. He said the offense has always been there for me, but in my own zone, you always hear about young guys having to adjust to the speed, and I think that was a reality for me.
He definitely has offensive ability, but even then, you have to make the right choices. You have to jump at the right time, and he's making some of those choices. Of course, he had a goal his third of the year in Calgary on a good line rush where the Flames just let him have that whole lane, and he skated all the way up the ice and fired one home. So he's making better choices offensively and having a better time in his own zone as well.
Oilers with it in the offensive zone. Clefbaum has his shot deflected, and Fontaine scoops it up for Minnesota. Fontaine fires it in from just outside the Edmonton line. Granlund pinned up against the wall, and Nugent-Hopkins has it there for Edmonton. I've not seen Marco Scandella since he limped off for Minnesota. We haven't seen Justin Schultz since he took a puck up high for Edmonton. Each team without one of their top 4 defensemen, at least for the time being.
And the old theory of get pucks behind the opposition defense, well, that's really going to come into play in this hockey game if neither one of them comes back, at least for a while, because we talk about fatigue, which will play a factor.
Vanek flips one in for Minnesota. Scrivens plays it behind the net. He's pressured there by Schrader. Vanek comes away with a puck off the wall. Yakupov trying to poke it out of the zone. Charlie Coyle had it caught in his skates for a moment. And now Hamilton's in for Edmonton. Forced to the outside by Folin. Folin takes it away. Dumba's game Wednesday in Calgary was his best as a pro. I asked Matt Dumba if he agreed with that. And he said, well, I hadn't really thought about it.
But now that you mention it, he did not register a shot. He had 2 shots in that game against Carolina. He's got 11 of the season coming into the game. He added to that total moments ago. And he will line up now against Paul Stastny. Stastny wins the draw to Bouwmeester. The game against Buffalo, he did not register a shot. He had 2 shots in that game. The game against Buffalo, he did not register a shot. He had 2 shots in that game against Carolina. He's got 11 of the season coming into the game. He added to that total moments ago. And he will line the game against Buffalo, he did not register a shot. He had 2 shots in that game against Carolina. He's got 11 of the season
23 minutes, 9 seconds
into the
of 1
game.
hour.
He added to that
23
total
minutes.
moments ago. And he will line up now against Paul
Takes it
Stastny.
away in the corner, flips it up at the air for Charlie Coyle. Coyle tied up by Roy, tried to kick it to Hamilton. That's flipped to the wall by Suter, and Schrader hustles back for Minnesota. Cross ice for Vanek, who dumps it in. Schrader quickly in on the forecheck. Agreed with that. He said, well, I hadn't really thought about it, but now that you mention it,
Boy, different looking power play this time around for the Oilers. They made a point of attacking the net every opportunity with lots of traffic, and great strength shown by Eberle in front. If in fact he is the one that gets a stick on this, we're not sure. Might go off stage it.
been there for me, but in my own
Gets a stick on this. We're not sure. Might go off stage it.
Flip seek sliders.
And or that
22
could
minutes,
just
50
be
seconds.
great
22
strength
minutes,
from
50
Jordan
seconds.
Eberle to
22
keep a
minutes,
stick
50
on the
seconds.
ice.
23 minutes, 10 seconds.
Brian Elliott made about
Yakupov able to by fair. Dumba plays across to Brodin. 5.5 to go in the first period. Justin Font across to Brodin. 5.5 to go in the first period. Justin Fontaine has Minnesota in front 1-0. Barrett's bumped by Koivu. Hendricks played it out to center. Dumba quickly turns it right back. Niederreiter dumps it in for the Wild.
That's got to be a quick up every time. And he got it up there, the Wild again, push it deep into the zone.
Brodin chips it off the boards for Niederreiter. Koivu carries in. Koivu maintains the puck around Klefbom. Fire, save, Scrimmage. Niederreiter scores from the bench. Chips it off the boards for Niederreiter. Koivu carries in. Koivu maintains the puck around Klefbom. Fire, save, Scrimmage. Niederreiter scores.
That's what you... Zach Cassian and the Edmonton Oilers tied the game at 1.
You can do it. Am I going to pass it? Am I going to shoot? Koivu had options.
Another turnover. Tyler Pitlick takes
Am I going to pass it? Am I going to shoot it?
This is almost
He had Dumba bouncing down the right side.
allows his man to shoot it.
And that's why the support of Dino Niederreiter driving down the
transition
middle
game, and
helped as
sometimes
well.
simpler is better. This is a simple play where you're looking for pass all the way, and instead of making the pass, the quick release gets under the arm of Elliott. For Elliott, a disappointing start. This one goes right underneath. He overplayed it to the outside, and it found room underneath the elbow.
Tyler Pitlick's been a 5-year pro, and just about every time he gets close to being a regular, he's been hurt. And he's in this opening night lineup, gets a goal.
Don't you think 2 goals in his last second, all the way down ice? Second multi. Ice now gives him 4 goals in his last 7 games. Ollie with it for Edmonton, all the way down. Icing waved off as Dubnyk has to play it. 2 goals on just 5 shots officially for Minnesota. Strong play by Koivu leads to the Niederreiter goal. Koivu now with 2 goals and 8 assists for 10 points in his last 9 games. Fraser. By Parisi. Macarena not able to clear the zone. It's back in front of the Edmonton goal. Pouliot now carries it out. Pouliot dumps it in. First-round pick of the Minnesota Wild way back in 2005. Ryan Suter and Dumba. Dumba works through traffic. Got it to Granlund. Granlund fires it toward the net. And it's gloved and held by Scrimmage. Dino Niederreiter extends the Minnesota lead. 2-zip Wild. 2-0 in favor of the Wild. Suter flips one here toward the net. Goals by Fontaine and Niederreiter so far for Minnesota. Koivu the only assist on the Niederreiter goal. His 19th of the season. Granlund plays it back to Suter and across to Brodin. Parisi trying to get it past Klefbom. Klinkhammer forces it into the corner. Parisi comes away with the puck for Minnesota and finds Fontaine at center. Suter joins the rush for Minnesota. Fontaine has his shot blocked. And then it's Hendricks back the other way for the Oilers. And Hendricks played the state high school hockey tournament for Blaine. Also played in the state football tournament for the Bengals as a quarterback. In behind it's Eberle. Out to the point, Marinchip. Long shot goes off the end wall. Eberle has it. Centers. Herschel lets it go by to the point. Granlund got a piece of it. It flutters wide to the Minnesota goal. Eberle tried to center. Spun around there by Brodin. And the Wild clear to center. Ferret starts back in for the Oilers. Cuts to the middle. Knocked away by Granlund. Schrader has Vanek with him. Schrader's pass hit a skate. Vanek was uncovered on the weak side. Nugent-Hopkins back in for the Oilers. Plays it off the end boards. Herschel back to Nugent-Hopkins in the corner. Nugent-Hopkins out to the point. A long shot tipped by Eberle. It winds up in the corner. Eberle recovers it there for the Oilers. His pass taken away by Schrader, who comes to center. Schrader dumps it in for Minnesota. Wild changing. That allows Edmonton a chance for a clean exit. Ferentz plays it ahead through neutral ice. Hamilton bumped off the puck by Folan. Folan assisted on the Fontaine goal earlier tonight. Cross-ice flip. Knocked down by Fane. Tipped away by Niederreiter, and the Wild are offside. Inside 2 minutes to go in the first. 2-0 Minnesota. Wild leading the Oilers 2-0. The last time Minnesota arrived here in Edmonton, their season on less than stable ground for certain. They were 12th in the West, 14 points behind Winnipeg for the top wild card, only 13 ahead of Edmonton. Now look at how different. They're within 5 points of the Jets for that top wild card spot. Edmonton way back in the rearview mirror, 21 points behind the Wild in the standings as play starts tonight.
Huge part of the conversation now, and the Wild know that they need to keep pressing. All those numbers have put them into the picture, but it doesn't guarantee them anything just now, and that's why these games are so crucial.
Little help for the Western Conference contenders tonight from the New Jersey Devils, who beat Vancouver tonight in New Jersey. Coming into play tonight, the two Pacific Division playoff teams, second and third place, and the top three wild card contenders, all separated by only 5 points. Roy into the Minnesota zone, crisscrosses with Yakupov, poked away by Brodin and then played out. Ollie back to pick it up as we enter the final minute of the first period here in Edmonton. Eberle races out for the Oilers, drops it back in his own zone, and Ollie has it. Ollie in the lineup tonight for Edmonton because one of their top defensemen, Jeff Petrie, was scratched. Petrie banged up in the Oilers' win over Boston earlier this week. Icing here against the Oilers, and the puck will come all the way down to the Edmonton zone. Christian Folin just back from Iowa and assisted on the first goal tonight for Minnesota. Guards game reset. Fontaine with his second goal in as many games, 4 points in his last 4. Niederreiter with his 19th of his first goal tonight for Minnesota. Large game reset. Fontaine with his second goal in as many games, 4 points in his last 4. Niederreiter with his 19th of the year. And Zach Parise, who had been held off the score sheet in consecutive games after piling up 12 points in the previous 13. Back on the list with an assist early here tonight. Stanley is number Virgin not dressed tonight. And Scandella early to the locker room here in the first. Knife under Klinkhammer fires. That goes wide. Hendricks trying to knife underneath a Suter check. Puck lines up in the corner. There's a very effort for inch and hold. Period comes to an end. A very good first period.
Great start. The Edmonton Oilers in the new building.
They have a 3-1 lead after the first period. Rogers 0 for the Wild.
So the fans are inspired to
find out how you.
I thought it was equal on both sides. Some turnovers, some mistakes.
But up next, Mike Greenway will chat with goal scorer Nino Niederreiter. Wild 2, Oilers 0 after 1 in Edmonton. Niederreiter. Wild 2, Oilers 0 after 1 in Edmonton. Wild on top of the Oilers 2-0 here in Edmonton. First period goals by Justin Fontaine and Nino Niederreiter, but no Marco. First period goals by Justin Fontaine and Nino Niederreiter, but no Marco Scandella on the bench. And at least for now, it appears that for the second time on this trip, the Wild will be forced to rotate 5 defensemen throughout the night.
Not something you want to get good at. What they had done it 2 games ago with success. Spurgeon out, as we mentioned, because of an injury in Calgary, and now Scandella, his defense partner, his usual defense partner, he goes out in this one.
The added challenge that both happened so early in the game. Spurgeon on his second shift.
in at the line is over outside against Calgary.
I think the importance here for the Edmonton Oilers is a much better defensive play. You mentioned the Calgary Flames problems 30th in the year last year, but the Edmonton Oilers were 27th, and this is a team that needs to be a much better defensive team. And Jim, I think Cam Talbot in goal for the Oilers has got to be a guy who gets off to a great start. It was not a good October, November November for him last year, and he's going to have to be much more solid. You mentioned the Calgary Flames problems, 30th in the year last year, but the Edmonton Oilers were 27th, and this is a team that needs to be a much better defensive team. And Jim, I think Cam Talbot in goal for the Oilers has got to be a guy who gets off to a great start. It was not a good October, November for him last year, and he's going to have to be much more solid in the Oiler net.
By the end of November, these teams were 13th and 14th in the Western Conference. That can't happen again because you can't catch up when you get that far behind in the NHL.
For Scandella, it's early in the first period. And here the Wild whistle offside. We'll see where his comfort level is as this game goes along. He's obviously a guy that's going to battle. Plays as hard as any player on this roster. Mike Gill refers to him as a max effort defenseman. And he's sinewy, too. He's not a bulky guy, but boy, is he ever strong. He uses that strength very well. He's obviously a guy first period. And here the Wild are whistled offside. Well, we'll see where his comfort level is as this game goes along. He's obviously a guy that's going to battle. Plays as hard as any player on this roster. Mike Gill refers to him as a max effort defenseman. And he's sinewy, too. He's not a bulky guy, but boy, is he ever strong. He uses that strength very well in leverage situations in his own end. Niederreiter goes back for Minnesota. First goal check, dressed tonight. After last four. Everly and then played little help for the last one. Bumped up. Everly. Jan Hopkins back in for the Oilers. Place spun around there by Brodin, and the Wild clear to center. Ferrell starts back in for Marincin. The Minnesota goal. Everly tried to center. Spun around there by Brodin, and the Wild clear to center. Ferrell starts back in for the Oilers. Cuts to the middle, knocked away by Granlund. Schrader has Vanek with him. Schrader's pass hit escape. Vanek was uncovered on the weak side. Nugent Hopkins back in for the Oilers. Plays it off the end boards. Purcell back to Nugent Hopkins in the corner. Nugent Hopkins out to the point. A long shot tipped by Everly. It winds up in the corner. Everly recovers it there for the Oilers. His pass taken away by Schrader, who comes to center. Schrader dumps it in for Minnesota. Wild changing. That allows Edmonton a chance for a clean exit. Ferentz plays it ahead through neutral ice. Hamilton bumped off the puck by Folin. Folin assisted on the Fontaine goal earlier tonight. Cross ice flip. Knocked down by Fane. Tipped away by Niederreiter, and the Wild are offside. Inside 2 minutes to go in the first. 2-0 Minnesota. They were picking up as we get fails to Candela. Of 6 plays it into the Minnesota. For Minnesota. For the Wild.
36 minutes. 36 minutes.
And Marincin will set up behind his net. Edmonton completing a change. Niederreiter applying pressure for Minnesota. Fane sent it ahead. And Scandella back to pick it up for Minnesota. First shift since the first period for Scandella. Since early in the first period. And here the Wild are whistled offside. Well, we'll see where his comfort level is as this game goes along. He's obviously a guy that's going to battle. Plays as hard as any player on this roster. Mike Gill refers to him as a max effort defenseman. And he's sinewy, too. He's not a bulky. Plays as hard as any player on this roster. Mike Gill refers to him as a max effort defenseman. And he's sinewy, too. He's not a bulky guy, but boy, is he ever strong. He uses that strength very well in leverage situations in his own end. Niederreiter goes back for Minnesota. Around behind where Koivu catches up with the puck. Plays it off the boards and out to center. Niederreiter had it taken away by Klinkhammer, and it's dropped back into the Edmonton zone. Ferentz. Long pass off target, and icing waved off as again it deflects on goal. Dubnyk has to leave it for Scandella. Around behind for Folan, and now picked up by Koivu. Scandella ridden out in the corner. Parisi to Folan. Folan comes to center and fires it in. It was deflected by Scrivens, and it's a 3-on-3 the other way. Purcell into the Minnesota zone. Nugent Hopkins has a shot go wide. Schultz holds, and a pad save by Dubnyk. It's kicked all the way back out into Edmonton territory. Wild completed forward change. Cleft bomb to Everly. Everly with speed through neutral ice. And they're offside after his pass was deflected. Neutral ice. And they're offside. Wild completed forward change. Cleft bomb to Everly. Everly with speed through neutral ice. And they're offside.
And a couple of big saves for Cam Talbot. I think it's really important here for Calgary to not pass on the shots. We mentioned the nervousness. I thought Talbot in the first period had it as well. Monahan and Gaudreau looking for a little bit of opening down low. The rebound was there for a split second. And unlike the first goal of the game, watch Talbot here. He's able to close the pads at the last second. It was there, and then quickly able to get on that puck.
Still, he created the second chance. Didn't catch it. Another face-off with the Calgary. Here's
Yakupov had it live. Gates. Scandella comes away with it. Flipped it out to neutral. Knocked down there by Fane. Fane sent it in for Roy, but that's poked away, and Dubla has it for Minnesota. Schrader flips it into Edmonton territory as he was dumped at neutral ice. Fane spins back for Edmonton. At the Minnesota line, he sent Yakupov in offside.
Well, Neil Yakupov, after last year, he had an injury-limited 63 games and 11 goals. The Oilers wanted a bounce-back year for him. They hadn't been getting it, but he's been a lot better lately. 4 goals and 7 points in the last 6 games. It's the first point streak of that length since the first 10 games of his career back in 2012-13. The first 10 games of his career back in 2012-13. So he's starting to find a bit of that magic that McTavish and everyone knew that he had.
Yakupov with the better letters. Fane side. Back for Edmonton. At the Minnesota line, he sent Yakupov in offside.
Neil Yakupov, after last year, he had an injury-limited 63 games and 11 goals. The Oilers wanted a bounce-back year for him. They hadn't been getting it, but he's been a lot better lately. 4 goals and 7 points in the last 6 games. It's the first point streak of that length since the first 10 games of his career back in 2012-13. So he's starting to find a bit of that magic that McTavish and everyone knew that he had.
Yakupov with those 4 goals in the last 6 games. For perspective, he had only 5 in his first 53 this year.
I think some of the secret is he's shooting the puck now. He just established a career high of 124. His previous was 122 over the course of the season. So he's on pace to really blow that up and shoot the puck more with a guy like that, and he's going to score more goals.
Compared with Derek Roy, since Roy was acquired from Nashville. But has to play it.
The question is now everyone's asking if Roy's going to be a part of this team for a longer period of time because of some of that chemistry.
Prosser finds Brodziak at neutral ice. Brodziak trying to work around a Marincin check. Marincin has his stick up under his arm. Haula has it for Minnesota to Folan. Across to Prosser. Prosser fires it, got through, and Scrivens with a pad save. Haula and Veilleux battle along the wall for Minnesota. Prosser tried to go back to Brodziak, who was out of his reach. And the Oilers clear. It was tipped by Prosser, so icing is negated. And Folan goes back for Minnesota. Folan's long pass tipped in by Parisi. Parisi got a stick on it, but couldn't maintain control. Purcell finds Everly at center. Everly drops it to Nugent Hopkins. Ollie was supporting the play from the blue line. He plays to the corner. Dumba escapes the check. Walks off the boards with the puck for Minnesota. Dumba comes to center. Backhand pass to Fontaine. Parisi breaking for the net. Fontaine's pass hit a stick. This line with one goal tonight, and they've come very close to a couple of others. Here the puck's out of play. Wild still in front 2-0. Well, the Canucks last night stole a couple in New York against the Rangers, scored with 90 seconds left, and wound up winning in a shootout. You see the standings. And even though the Canucks and the Flames are listed over in the Pacific Division, they may as well be included in the same race. There will be 2 spots there and 2 wild card spots, 4 total. And those teams incredibly tight. The Flames are leading the Ducks tonight in Calgary 1-0, second period. Kings, Sharks, Canucks, Flames.
The Sharks have been plummeting until they came up with a big win last night as well.
Vanek try to get it to Schrader. Suter down to Brodin. Schrader goes across for Ryan Suter. Suter looks. His centering pass deflects. Schrader hustles over to hold the zone for Minnesota. Schrader to Coyle. Back at the Minnesota line. He sent Yakupov out to
clogging up the neutral zone between the blue lines. It's really having an effect on the game the Edmonton Oilers are trying to play. They want to play a flow game. They want to be moving all the time. They want to be using speed coming through that neutral zone. But the Sabres are in the lanes. They're making it very difficult for them. And the Edmonton Oilers, when they're hitting the Sabres blue line, no speed or they're just one-on-one. So Sabres doing a nice job every time through that area. Our puck is up in the air and it's recovered off the lane. They want to be moving all the time. They want to be using speed coming through that neutral zone. But the Sabres are in the lanes. They're making it very difficult for them. And the Edmonton Oilers, when they're hitting the Sabres blue line, no speed or they're just one-on-one. So
the Sharks have been plummeting. Save. Try to get it to Schrader. Suter down to Brodin. Schrader goes across for Ryan Suter. Suter looks. His centering pass deflects. Schrader hustles over to hold the zone for Minnesota. Schrader to Coyle. Back to Schrader. Schrader fires. Saved by Scrivens. Has a chance for this line tonight.
Great shift by Schrader there. He helps create a lot of his own offense by hustling and using his body to block away the defender. What a great job to get a good chance at the end of that play.
Purcell carries to center for Edmonton. Into the Minnesota zone. His shot goes wide. Havenville catches up with it. He's got a chance to spring Niederreiter. Niederreiter in for the Wild, but Nugent Hopkins ducks underneath him and comes away with the puck. Koivu pokes it out front of the net. Nobody there for Minnesota. Niederreiter heads off as the Oilers gain possession. Parisi in for the Wild. Fires from the circle that's just wide. Colin holds for Minnesota. Goes to Granlund. Granlund tried to sneak one through for Parisi. That hit escape. Granlund has it back. Gives to Fontaine. Back to Granlund. Granlund fires. Save. Rebound. And Fontaine is robbed by Scrivens.
Oh, my goodness. That was otherworldly.
Back to Granlund. Granlund fires. Save. Rebound. And Fontaine is robbed by Scrivens.
That's another offside. And the shot here is taken after the whistle went, and the Sabres are taking some resentment of that to Lucic.
And Rasmus with the line and right in there. What you like to see. That's the game Rasmus needs to play. Sabres on a 3-on-1 here. Not able to capitalize. The turnover in the zone. You see Larson, Gianta, and Foligno all on a 3-on-1.
Parisi was tied up. Icing waved off as Granlund.
Scrivens. He has one goal in this game, and he gets robbed there by Scrivens.
Scandella plays it ahead through neutral ice. Parisi was tied up. Icing waved off as Granlund hustles in on Marincin. Gordon there for Edmonton. Off the boards to the Minnesota line. Knocked away. Radziak ahead. It was too far for Parisi. Hendricks has it knocked away at center. At the Minnesota line, he sent Yakupov in offside.
Puck goes up and over.
Yakupov.
great defensive play on the dangerous scorer, Jim Skinner. On Sportsnet. Another reason to have a day off.
Company ball team won today, Ken. You're happy. You're a happy guy.
Yeah. We've got 3:31 left to go here in the first period. The Oilers with a 2-0 lead on goals by Slepyshev and Everly. From the face-off, Slavin. Took shot. Yes, they did.
You're a happy guy.
On Sportsnet. Another reason to have a day off.
Company ball team won today, Ken. You're happy. You're a happy guy.
Yeah. 44 minutes, 59 seconds. We've got 3:31 left to go here in the first period. The Oilers with a 2-0 lead on goal by Slepyshev and Everly.
Go away at center. Dumba got it. And the puck lines up at center. Scandella runs Klinkhammer down. Fain plays it ahead. Klinkhammer relays it into the Minnesota zone. Past the halfway point of the second period. Wild in front, 2-0.
Wild.
Brodziak absorbs a hit at the Minnesota line. Klinkhammer has it there for the Oilers. Ferentz around behind the net. Ollie trying to gain control for the Oilers. His clearing attempt knocked down by Brodziak. Brodziak, another Alberta native. We're up about 45 minutes east of here. Brodziak. Brodin sets up behind the net. Jonas Brodin credited with an assist on the Niederreiter goal. It's his third consecutive game with an assist for the first time in his career. This puck deflects out of play and will bring a whistle. Wild in front, 2-0 at Rexall Place. 2-1. Wild 2, Oilers 0 in Edmonton. Back in St. Paul, the Girls State High School Hockey Tournament in its final 4 in each class. It'll be 1 against 2 in A as Thief River Falls advanced. Brianna Jordy with a goal and an assist late. Laura Anderson scored a power play goal with 4:12 left for Hill Murray. The second-seeded Pioneers defeated the third-seeded Hornets. Left for Hill Murray. The second-seeded Pioneers defeated the third-seeded Hornets.
He'll flip it high for Tara Brennan, but he got a little bit too much on it, and it ends up going down the hallway.
Yesterday, as we talked about with the team, they came out and they practiced, and it was a lot of a bit of a teaching practice. One thing Todd McLellan thought about his team is that they've been trying to score their way out of their mistakes. And he said what they have to do is be better in every area of the ice. And not just the offensive zone. You've seen that so far tonight. Trying to score their way out of their mistakes. And he said what they have to do is be better in every area of the ice. And not just the offensive zone. What he thought about his team is that they've been trying to score their way out of their mistakes. And he said what they have to do is be better in every area of the ice. And not just the offensive zone.
Knocked down by Brodziak. Another Alberta native. We're up about 45 minutes east of here. Brodin sets up behind the net. Jonas Brodin credited with an assist on the Niederreiter goal. It's his third consecutive game with an assist for the first time in his career. This puck deflects out of play and will bring a whistle. Wild in front, 2-0 at Rexall. I seeded my final with a save. Description at the game. Plays it in the net. He lets it go by. Runs. Scandella. Vanek. Brodin. Schrader has it. Plays it in down low. Charlie Coyles, first man out and along the boards. To Vanek behind the net. He lets it go by for Schrader. Out to the point, Brodin. Trying to sidestep a man. His pass for Schrader. Just out of his reach. Schrader hustles back to play it for Minnesota. Vanek spins away from Yakupov. Plays it behind the net for Folan. And Folan carries out for Minnesota. Schultz intercepts to the Minnesota line. Yakupov hustling in, but Folan gets there first. Brodin for Vanek. Vanek's pass just fails to click with Pominville, but he recovers all the way across to Folan, who drives it in. And Scrivens will hang on. Face-off coming in the Edmonton zone. Great chance for Thomas Vanek. Well, Vanek
When it becomes an offensive opportunity right here, you can see his eyes light up. Just picks the pocket right there to the defender who just didn't see him coming in. Vanek is putting up some points lately. Been very good, especially since the All-Star break. And he gives it in. Star Bertona. By Scandella. No hand pass as Gordon's the next man to touch it. Hendricks drops back to the point. Marincin with a shot. That goes wide. Kane holds for Edmonton. Niederreiter first on it in the corner. Koivu flips it high in the air out to center. Pominville waits for it to come down. He has it. Scandella breaking for the net. Pominville drops to Dumba. He fires wide. And the rebound controlled by Marincin.
He scored in that same area against Calgary, although Hiller is a southpaw, so it was a blocker. And he missed the net on this one. He was looking the same side. This time it would have been high glove.
Granlund pokes the puck out to center. Tries to work around a Klefbom check. Scandella has it for the Wild and dumps it in. Klefbom sets up behind the net. He's walked by Parisi. Scriven's trying to provide a little interference there. Purcell for Everly. Everly's cross-ice pass finds Schultz. Nugent-Hopkins breaks for the net. Purcell drags it around Parisi, but then flipped it wide. And Granlund has it for Minnesota. Minnesota with numbers at center. Granlund hits the line. Trying to go to Parisi, and it's taken away by Klefbom. Granlund got a stick on it as Purcell tried to carry out of the zone. Brodin steps up for Minnesota. Brodziak grabs the loose puck. Brodziak fires, saved by Scrivens. Haula in the corner. Pouliot had it for a moment. Brodin had broken for the middle. He'll have to now come back to retrieve the puck for Minnesota. Plays it safely out to center. Brodziak for Haula. Haula into the Edmonton zone. His shot blocked. Haula has it back. A pad save Scrivens. Haula again on the rebound. And Scrivens stopped him. Great hustle by Haula on that loose puck. Nate Prosser has it for Minnesota. Winds and fires. Saved by Scrivens. Puck still loose. Scrivens can't find it. It's interference. And finally, it's cleared out by Pouliot. Played with a high stick. And we're going to whistle on a face-off in the Wild zone. Great chances for Minnesota. Wild leading 2-0. Wild 2, Oilers 0. Late second period in Edmonton. Hockey weekend across America celebrated starting tonight. About a quarter of the NHL's overall player pool is American-born. That's up significantly over the last decade. Take a look at the way Americans have ramped up their scoring. Last season, up to 22% of the NHL's goals and assists. This year, the Wild have a couple of America's top guns. Zach Parise fourth among U.S.-born skaters with 23 goals. Jason Zucker 12th. Nino Niederreiter here in for Minnesota. Works to the middle and fires just wide. Yakupov there for Edmonton. Yakupov races back for the Oilers. Poland behind his net. Plays it off the boards for Niederreiter. He got just enough of it to get it to Koivu. Koivu across to Scandella, but the pass was in his skates. Pominville with an interception. Niederreiter back to Koivu. And Koivu fires it in. Pominville tried to get it to Koivu. And it's intercepted by Roy, who plays to center.
Thought Niederreiter had a lane there, but he decided to go back. Maybe he felt that being flat-footed right there, picking the puck up, he couldn't outleg the defender.
Koivu works his way into the Edmonton zone, gives to Vanek. Vanek, weak side, they score! Niederreiter headed to Koivu. And it's intercepted by Roy, who plays to center.
Thought Niederreiter had a lane there, but he decided to go back. Maybe he felt that being flat-footed right there, picking the puck up, he couldn't outleg the defender.
Koivu works his way into the Edmonton zone, gives to Vanek. Vanek, weak side, they score!
Being flat-footed right there, picking the puck up, he couldn't outleg the defender.
Koivu works his way into the Edmonton zone, gives to Vanek. Vanek, weak side!
About that right there, his speed.
Top six rolls. Two of the first names met to the opportunity created by injury here since the All-Star break for Minnesota. Since the All-Star break for Minnesota.
Well, you want your depth to shine, and that's starting to come around. For Schrader, this is a great opportunity, and he knows it. To get back and be a consistent contributor in the National Hockey League. Left dignity, and he knows it. To get back and be a consistent contributor in the National Hockey League.
Left on fire, saved by Dubnyk.
And for Fontaine, it's to respond to a good year last year and make sure that people don't think that it was an anomaly.
Schrader flips it in the air, trying to get it to Vanek. Vanek would have been offside, so he has to come back outside the blue line. Parise can't catch up with a loose puck. Schultz had it. Now Parise takes it away. All the way across for Granlund. Granlund looking for Fontaine. Instead he finds Parise a shot. And that goes just wide. Boy, the Wild had chances in this period.
Well, they had 8 shots in the first period. Were able to muster 2 goals out of that. Scrivens actually has played better in this period. Made some very big saves, but that's because the Wild's quality of shots have gone up.
Shots in this period, 12-4 in favor of Minnesota. Chances a half dozen to 0. Fontaine carries into the Edmonton zone. Marincin chased by Parise. Granlund got a piece of a clearing attempt, and it winds up back in the Oilers zone. Marincin has it there for Edmonton. Poland settles it down, goes to Veilleux. Veilleux dumps to the corner. Battles there with Fane along the end wall. Pouliot comes away with it for the Oilers. Howley got a piece of the puck off Marincin stick. Brodziak's in. He fires. Saved by Scrivens. And we'll get a whistle and a face-off. Talking about hockey weekend across the United States. Here are the most goals scored by U.S.-born players just over the last 10 years. Nobody more than Minnesota's Zach Parise. Definite Minnesota feel around the National Hockey League. I mentioned earlier the top goal scorers this year that were born in Minnesota. Nick Bjugstad on that list. David Backus on that list. Anders Lee. All former Minnesota high school players.
Now the influx of not just players, but highly skilled players has been very evident over the last decade, as we talked about.
Howell lost the puck here, and it's a 3-on-2 for Edmonton. Roy across for Yakupov, and Howell caught up with the play. His speed has been noticeable tonight, and this time it was not a back check.
It's been noticeable in the offensive zone with puck pursuit and jumping on plays, and right there, a good back check takes away an opportunity by Edmonton.
A back check.
It's been noticeable in the offensive zone with puck pursuit and jumping on plays, and right there, a good puck pursuit and jumping on plays, and right there, a good back check takes away an opportunity by Edmonton. And he's another guy that can elevate his game. We've seen the level that he can play at.
Look at where he is in this
opportunity by Edmonton. And he's another guy that can elevate his game. We've seen the level that he can play at.
Look at where he is in this replay and how far he comes to catch up with this pass.
That's just, and a lot of it is getting back in to good positioning. He wasn't necessarily pushing hard, but he was positioned well with the stick in the way, and he took away that opportunity with that back check.
Poland to Prosser. Off the boards and all the way down. Icing's waved off. Scrivens has to play it. And Minnesota gets a much-needed change. Just over a minute left. Second period. Everly flips it in for Edmonton. Suter goes to the corner for Minnesota. Koivu to Brodin. And Brodin will carry it to center ice. Jonas Brodin looking more and more confident with the puck every night. Circles the net. Still with it. Tied up by Schultz. Got it to Niederreiter. Niederreiter to Brodin. Gives it to Koivu. And over for Suter. Suter up the boards for Koivu. Koivu wanted to go to Niederreiter. Instead gives to Pominville. Pominville to Niederreiter. Into the corner, Suter. Suter takes a look. Back pedals to the middle. Lines, fires, saved by Scrivens. And the loose puck carried out by Schultz. Everly plays it over for Purcell. Trying to go back to Everly, who is breaking toward the net. Everly has it in the corner. Finds Gordon. Back to Everly. Everly out to the point. Klefbom across for Fane. Fane sends it in deep. Oilers changing. Purcell lost the puck to Koivu. Gordon fell. Oilers maintain the zone. A long shot knocked down by Dubnyk. Rebound cleared off the end glass. Final seconds of the period. Marincin.
In the second intermission, they're not going to be very happy about the winner lesson call. And then the call that McDavid got for
10 shots that he's faced, but the Wild firing away at Scrivens at the other end. The window concept, Steve reset. Schrader with a goal. Koivu with a couple of helpers. He continues his scoring surge. Thomas Vanek assisted on the Schrader tally. The only goal of the second period. And the Wild lead the Oilers 3-0 after 2. Coming up in our second intermission, we'll head back to the studio. Wes Walls with an analysis of the Wild shooting tendencies. Mike Greenley with Kyle Brodziak next.
Plenty of competition left in this one. We talked about the Wild and games in hand on San Jose and, of course, the Winnipeg Jets. They won't come within one of those two teams until the middle of March. They'll kind of even up, or at least get close to that, but really don't even up until April, at least on San Jose. So get close enough. The Wild have trailed in games played all season long, so I'm kind of used to being in that.
Shot, and Dubnyk robs Roy on the rebound.
Well, Dubnyk hasn't seen a lot of action in this game. 12 shots, but when he's called upon, he's able to get it done. This is just a little bit of an errant clear. Maybe there's a little miscommunication there. Dubnyk normally just defers to his defenders. I think he was trying to pitch that up the wall, thinking maybe one of the wingers would be able to get in on it. And instead, it went right by.
Fontaine flips it into the Edmonton zone. Klefbom back to pick it up. Everly taps to Nugent Hopkins. He just does a Parisi poke check. You keep hearing it today. Have each played 6 in St. Paul. Brodziak net. Already completed.
I like some of the work physically by the Wild in this one.
Yakupov with a shot, and Dubnyk robs Roy on the pass. Rebound.
Well, Dubnyk hasn't seen a lot of action in this game. 12 shots, but when he's called upon, he's able to get it done. This is just a little bit of an errant clear. Maybe there's a little miscommunication there. Dubnyk normally just defers to his defenders. I think he was trying to pitch that up the wall, thinking maybe one of the wingers would be able to get in on it. And instead, it went right by Scandella, but great recovery there.
Fontaine flips it into the Edmonton zone. Klefbom back to pick it up. Everly taps to Nugent Hopkins. He just does escape a Parisi poke check. And they're offside to the Minnesota line, where the Oilers have been whistled offside an awful lot tonight.
They've had to make some line adjustments as well. Pouliot being one of them, stepping into a different line situation and playing center. So it's constant movement for them as well.
Henricks to draw against Coyle. Coyle pulls it back, and the Wild have possession. Left check. And they're offside to the Minnesota line, where the Oilers have been whistled offside an awful lot tonight.
They've had to make some line adjustments as well. Pouliot being one of them, stepping into a different line situation and playing center. So it's
constant movement for them as well.
Hendricks to draw against Coyle. Coyle pulls it back, and the Wild have possession. Cooley outside of Popechek. Pick it up. Everly taps to Nugent Hopkins. He just does escape. A Parisi Popechek. And offside for Minnesota.
Connor McDavid ties the game to 2. 57 seconds in.
Line, put it into the Edmonton zone. Clock back to pick it up. Everly taps to Nugent Hopkins. He just does escape. A Parisi Popechek. And they're offside from Minnesota line. Or the Oilers will be looking offside an awful lot tonight. They've had to make some line adjustments as well. Cooley out being one of them, stepping into a different line situation, playing center.
This is a simple play. They're looking for pass all the way.
Hendricks,
Instead of making the pass, the quick release gets under the arm of Elliott. Over Elliott, a disappointing start. This one goes right underneath the overplay.
Hendricks to draw against Coyle.
Underneath the elbow.
Constant movement for
Tyler Pitlick has a 5-year throw.
Just about every time he gets
Maine. Marin. Wild. Back to pick. Offside pass. Fired back in by Schrader. Maine. Down up the boards. Arena relays it into the Minnesota zone. Poland's back to play it for the Wild. It gets by Ollie and comes all the way back into the Edmonton zone. Fane starts back the other way from the Oilers. Granlund forces a turnover at center. Got one through to Parisi. Drops to Granlund. Granlund to Brody. Fires and a glove save by Scrivens. Join the Fox Sports North girls at the Timberwolves viewing party Monday at 6:30 at Jimmy's Food and Drink in Mathis Heights. Be on TV. Watch the game on one of the 20 TVs. Enjoy food and drink specials. Register to win hometown team tickets and more. Visit FoxSportsNorth.com. Click on upcoming events on the Hot Topics bar for details. Brodin shot deflected by Fontaine and wide. Parisi out to the point for Suter. Back down low, Fontaine in the corner. Leaves it for Parisi behind the net. Parisi trying to escape Ollie to Fontaine, then Granlund shoved one just wide. Fontaine back to Parisi. To the point for Brodin. His long shot deflects off the end wall. Granlund quickly there. Fontaine tried to get it to Parisi, who was open in the circle. Parisi gives to Granlund. Granlund tried to work his way around Gordon. Parisi's there to support. Long shift to the offensive zone for Minnesota. Fontaine heads off on a change. Wild still maintain the off. Fires and a glove saved by Scrivens. Fires and a glove save. Join the Fox Sports North girls at the Timberwolves viewing party Monday at 6:30 at Jimmy's Food and Drink in Mathis Heights. Be on TV. Watch the game on one of the 20 TVs. Enjoy food and drink specials. Register to win hometown team tickets and more. Visit FoxSportsNorth.com. Click on upcoming event. Saved by join the Fox Sports North girls at the Timberwolves viewing party Monday at 6:30 at Jimmy's Food and Drink in Mathis Heights. Be on TV. Watch the game on one of the 20 TVs. Enjoy food and drink specials. Register to win hometown team tickets and more. Visit FoxSportsNorth.com. Click on upcoming events.
Next 1 hour, 4 minutes, 53 seconds of 1 hour.
Alan Suter goes back to pick it up for Minnesota.
Maximum value 5,334. 1 hour, 4 minutes, 56 seconds of 1 hour.
Bayou tips it in. Roy for Yakupov at center. Dumps it into the Minnesota zone, and Scandella's back to play it. Dumba starts it back for Minnesota. Looks in the head at center. Brodziak picks up a loose puck. Plays it back to Scandella. And across to Dumba. Young Matt's pass. Too far for Scandella. Scandella fires. Loose puck. Controlled by Purcell. Roy carries to center. Into the Minnesota zone. Dumba goes back to play it. Four players scrum there. Niederreiter has Yakupov pinned face first against the glass. Dumba's pass. Got it to Pominville. Koivu trying to poke it across. Niederreiter was breaking through neutral ice.
Great work there by Dumba. Had the Roy on the wrong side of him, but he able to regain body position and then chip that puck out.
Niederreiter tips it in.
Showing so much more strength and poise. Even if he gets beat briefly, he regains his composure very quickly.
Good at the line. Everly lost the puck. Koivu goes down, and Everly has it on the backhand, and it just rolls off of his stick. Julian lays it out to the point for Schultz. Across to Klefbom. Nugent Hopkins tried to center. Koivu got a skate on that. Brodin comes up with it for Minnesota. Pominville knocks the stick out of Klefbom's hands, and we get Brodin comes up with it for Minnesota. Pominville knocks the stick. Brodin comes up with it for Minnesota. Pominville.
Richardson said, you know what? The offensive part of the game when he kind of stepped off that second power play unit. And so he's had to kind of work his way 5-on-5 and trying to find where his offense can be. And it's about touching the puck. It's about moving the puck. When you're on that power play, you get a lot of touches, obviously, because you're helping move that puck with the man advantage. And so he's adjusted pretty well, and he's had a few good shots in this game. And as you mentioned, he's putting up some points now, so he seems to be regaining that. All year he's had to kind of work his way 5-on-5 and trying to find where his offense
back on the icing call.
One of the reasons that the Edmonton Oilers liked Chris Russell, he brought him in as a free agent signing, is because he does stuff like this. He is a terrific puck retrieval defenseman. Gets his head turned before he even gets the puck. He knows where he wants to go. Makes a quick turn, escapes 2 forecheckers, and bang, the Oilers are out of their zone. Something they desperately need is defensemen who can get the puck going north.
2 assists in that game on Wednesday. Yoki Faka, rich shot, glove save.
Through him, and Scrivens fortunate to get a whistle as this puck was in behind him, but just dribbled off the post.
Now, if it dribbles on the other side of the post, we're talking about a 4-0 lead. But this one just drops down out of the equipment. Good high shot there on the blocker, and it catches the pad as it drops down onto the ice. Couldn't get that reach. Charlie Coyle scored a goal from behind the net last time they were here. The ice. Couldn't get that reach. Charlie Coyle scored a goal from behind the net last time. Made by Scrivens. The rebound trickled through him. And Scrivens fortunate to get a whistle as this puck was in behind him, but just...
Bill Peters, the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, talking about his team today, was asked about, well, the coaches are doing... wanting to defend him more than anything. He said, listen, we're always trying to score. We always make sure that we're always trying to push offensively. But the one thing he knows is if you spend time in your zone, you spend too much time in your zone, that's not a chance that you're going to win a lot of games in the National Hockey League. So they work on getting back. One thing he knows is if you spend time in your zone, you spend too much time in your zone, that's not a chance that you're going to win a lot of games in the National Hockey League. So they work on getting back, moving the puck, and then getting that forecheck going. We were talking about.
Bill Peters takes a timeout, and time away from Carolina is what the Hurricanes are doing because of the North Carolina State.
Down onto the winner, Edmonton. Coyle and Niederreiter scored that night for Minnesota in a 2-1 Wild win. Fontaine dumps it in. This is the second of the 3 meetings, the third in St. Paul on Tuesday. Marincin plays it ahead for Klinkhammer. Dumps it into the Wild zone. Brodin back to pick it up for Minnesota. Sets up behind the net. Fontaine now with it. Suter fights his way to center and dumps it in for the Wild. Oilers start back. Purcell has it in his own zone. Wild have done a good job making sure that most of this third period's played in the Oilers zone. Yakupov spins away from one man, then another.
Well, other than a little bit of a stretch there in the first period, the Wild really have kept Edmonton at bay. That allowed them to really cycle or work the puck. We talked about the fact that it's been a very disciplined game, too.
Loose out front. A turnover gives him a chance, but Purcell fired it wide. Pominville to the line, not out. Schultz holds. Schultz into the corner. Puck still loose, and finally the Wild clear to center. Best chances of the period for the Oilers right there. Roy tried to get it to Yakupov, but it's cleared back, and Marincin has to retreat for the Oilers. Fane for Nugent-Hopkins. Into the Minnesota zone. Prosser knocks it down and then bats it out to center. Fane fires it in. A heavy collision between Prosser and Everly.
Well, Prosser swatted the puck, and I think Everly came in there, and Prosser ended up being the one who won that little battle.
Good to see Prosser on the giving end of one of those hits rather than the receiving end, as he's been so often lately.
I talked to some of the Wild coaches about that. They said that's just the way he plays.
Ferentz gives to Everly. Back across to Ferentz. Lines, fires, pad save, Dubnyk. Long rebound controlled by Ollie. To Everly in the corner. Everly tied up by Folin. Got it to Nugent-Hopkins. His shot goes off the end glass. Ferentz holds his own. Back into the corner. Pouliot. Penalty coming against Prosser. He took Everly down. Hendricks plays to the boards. A centering pass is intercepted, and the penalty against Prosser will put Edmonton on the game's first power play when we return. Our Toyota get caught up. Minnesota scores first. Justin Fontaine on the tip. His sixth of the year, second in as many games. Then Nino Niederreiter on the rebound of a Mikko Koivu shot. Made it 2-0 Minnesota. Vanek to Schrader. And it was 3-zip Wild. That's where we stand. Devin Dubnyk was down all 15 shots he's faced. This is going to make a couple we stand. To Schrader. In the last couple of moments, Nick Prosser goes for tripping, first penalty of the game. And it puts Edmonton on the power play with a chance to climb back in the game.
Well, Devin Dubnyk will be tested here. Better power play lately for the Oilers, although the Wild have shown that they can kill with the best of them.
Wild have killed 29 in a row. Oiler power play a bit better lately. Pouliot dumps it in for Edmonton. Pouliot, Nugent-Hopkins, Everly, Purcell, and Schultz. The power play attackers for Edmonton. Schultz unable to hold. Wild get a very important clear. Now it's Howland and Veilleux up front for Minnesota with Scandella and Dumba on the back end.
Power play for Edmonton. When you look back at the last few goals, it's been more about puck pursuit, puck support.
Saved by Scrimmage. The rebound trickled through him. And Scrimmage fortunate to get a whistle as
fortuitous call going with the Edmonton Oilers score. Did you see a high stick there? Yeah, it's just a good battle for the puck that Connor lost his balance, but one more look at it, maybe I lost it. No, that's just a guy falling down and referee booting the call.
Slavin in the penalty box for second power play for the Oilers. Letestu,
Last time they were here, the game winner.
Red Wild win. Schultz into the
Next
corner.
people, 1 hour 10 minutes 40. 1 hour. Current value 1 hour 12 minutes. 1 hour 13. 1 hour 13. 1 hour 13 minutes 23.
Eric Haula really got stung on that one, but Martin, boy, didn't see that. Eric Haula really got stung on that one, but he makes it to the bench.
Past the halfway point of the Oiler power play. And Fontaine with a clear. Three clears already for Minnesota in the first minute 15 of this Edmonton power play. Oilers gain the zone. Dubnyk to play it. Yakupov got a piece of it in the corner, but now it's Brodin for Minnesota. Klefbom just does hold. Centers, knocked out of the air. But then Brodin drives one to the far point. Roy holds. Yakupov to Klefbom, but it's off target and out to center ice. Wild will change again. And we even see Nino Niederreiter on the penalty kill. Niederreiter and Howell are the forwards now. Scandella takes it away. Niederreiter carries to center. 2-on-2 with Howell. Wilder at full strength. Niederreiter fires off the glass. Oilers start back with Ryan Hamilton. Dubnyk taps it calmly to Scandella. Another kill for the Wild. 30 in a row for Minnesota. Habenville. Cut off by Marincin. Out to the point, Dunba. His shot tipped by Niederreiter. And a save by Scrivens. Hendricks through neutral ice. Wild clear, and the puck sails the length of the ice. It'll be icing against Minnesota. Well, great pursuit by the Wild. That's why they were able to have good clears. And another penalty kill. Stadium Series outdoor game coming to the state of hockey next season when the Wild host the Blackhawks at TCF Bank Stadium February 2016. Your best shot at tickets to the outdoor game is to purchase season tickets for next season. Call 651-222-WILD or visit tickets.wild.com for details. This year's Stadium Series game this weekend between the Kings and Sharks. Game that'll have the interest of Wild fans, not just for outdoor hockey, but a very important game in the Western Conference playoff race. It'll be icing. Wild clear, and the puck sails the length of the ice. It'll be icing against Minnesota. Well, great pursuit by the Wild. That's why they were able to have good clears. And another penalty kill. Pursuit by the Wild. That's why it'll be icing against the clear. Another penalty kill by the Wild. That's why they were able to have good clears. Well, great pursuit by the Wild. That's why they were able to have good clears. And another penalty kill. Stadium Series outdoor game coming to the state of hockey next season when the Wild host the Blackhawks at TCF Bank Stadium February 2016. Your best shot at tickets to the outdoor game is to purchase season tickets for next season. Call 651-222-WILD or visit tickets.wild.com for details. This year's Stadium Series game this weekend between the Kings and Sharks. Game that'll have the interest of Wild fans, not just for outdoor hockey, but a very important game in the Western Conference playoff race. 2-1, third period. On the outside looking in, that maybe is being overlooked too soon. The Colorado Avalanche 4-1 win at Chicago tonight. Well, that after being tied after two periods, 1-1. Very good third period. Scored 3 goals in 2.5 minutes. Power play goals 24 seconds apart to break the tie. 3-0 Wild here late in the third. Wild up 3-0 in Edmonton. Mentioned earlier the Canucks were beaten tonight. Here's a look at the standings as they stand right now. Calgary, as I mentioned, leading Anaheim at 68 points. The Sharks right now are in the second wild card spot. Minnesota right on their heels, just a couple of points back. It's going to be such an exciting race. 4 teams in the Pacific Division battling for the 2, 3, and then the potential wild card spots. The way the Ducks are going, they might not be safe in the top spot. Fontaine in for Minnesota. To Granlund, but it was deflected away. Roy into the Minnesota zone. Yakupov has his shot deflected up and out of play. Roy into the Minnesota zone. Yakupov has his shot deflected up and out of play. It's interesting, so much talk about the young talent this Oilers club has. as the number 1 overall picks. Nugent Hopkins, Yakupov, and Hall all down the lineup tonight. Number 1 overall picks. Look at them as Yakupov and Hall all down the lineup tonight. And a lot of people look at them as failed number 1s, but in reality, if you look at the other players picked in those drafts, Hall, the number 1 pick in 2010, only Tyler Seguin has more points. He was picked number 2. Nugent Hopkins in 2011, only Landeskog more points. He was picked number 2. Yakupov in 2012, only Galchenyuk in Montreal has more points. He was picked number 3. So it's not like they've whiffed on those choices.
No, not at all. We're talking to Craig McTavish, the general manager of the Oilers, this morning. The conversation was all about young players, and of course players that the Wild have that are young and starting to bud and look good. Like what really made us hit this one, because I was really interested, and he said he reminds me of a young player. But his humor aside, he's right. These guys are young and they need time to develop. They need time to figure their games out. Dumba, for example, 34th game in his career. Guys take a little bit longer than half a season to develop into very strong players.
Koivu to Pominville. Pominville fires just wide. Long rebound picked up by Klinkhammer, but poked away by Prosser. Gordon dumps it in. Klinkhammer and Niederreiter still tangled up at center ice.
A little Greco-Roman wrestling there at center ice.
Poland has his entry deflected, and that forces Veilleux in offside. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game.
Oh, this save you'll remember for a long time. I know that Fontaine will. Bats it out of the air, and the old Statue of Liberty got him there. What a save by Scrivens.
Akarinen dumps it into the Minnesota zone. Poland back to play it. Brodziak deflects it out, and Fane back to regroup for the Oilers. Behind his net for Hendricks. Hamilton comes to center ice. Akarinen into the corner. Bumped there by Prosser. He sidesteps a Hendricks hit, or at least most of it. Purcell back to play it. And Ollie will slide it back into his own zone. Brodziak takes it away at center. Played it across, trying to get it to Granlund. Chipped away at neutral ice, and Ferentz is back to pick it up for Edmonton. Pressured by Parise. Granlund comes away with it. Rodin. Ahead to Fontaine, who tips it out to neutral ice. Roy for Purcell at center ice. Roy into the Minnesota zone. Got it to Purcell out front. He was tied up by Suter on the play. Yakupov trying to escape Granlund. Yakupov still with the puck as he circles high in the zone. Rodin tied up by Roy. Rodin then flips one out, and it does escape the zone. Marincin back to pick it up after Parise is tangled up with Fane exiting his zone. 5 minutes left here in Edmonton. Nugent Hopkins to Pouliot. Knocked out of the air by Niederreiter. Then Everly tips it into the Minnesota zone. Pouliot and Scandella jousting there. Koivu for Minnesota. Up the wall, held by Klefbom. Pominville trying to push it past him. Oilers are back in with Nugent Hopkins. Dubnyk will set it up behind the net, gives to Dumba. Koivu shovels one off the boards for Pominville. His pass too far for Niederreiter. Niederreiter able to poke it into the Edmonton zone. Luxury of this 3-goal lead. Mike Yeo just rolling 4 lines here throughout this third period.
Yeah, you know what? At this time of the year, try and save the legs as much as you can, because over the course of time, even though the Wild aren't on a back-to-back situation, you know, you play a lot of games in a short period of time, and might as well use everybody right now.
A couple of very important games coming up. Home against Dallas on Sunday. These Oilers Tuesday before the Wild go to Nashville and face one of the hottest teams in hockey. Fraser's shot deflects off of a stick. And they should get a desperate Avalanche team in Colorado next weekend. Dubnyk covers. We get a whistle. We'll have a preview of what's coming up on Wild Live next.
I'm Kevin Gorgan, our Mall of America studio. Stay with us after the game for Wild Live presented by CenturyLink. Wes Walls will show you how the Wild have been shooting with a purpose. Devin Dubnyk once again leading the charge, and we'll hear from the head coach Mike Yeo. Gentlemen, the Wild have turned Rexall Place into a library.
Well, the crowd's roaring now.
There's a fight in the crowd right now.
Yeah, one of the fans threw his Edmonton jersey out on the ice. And a couple of other Edmonton fans who have not yet given up on this franchise decided to take offense.
Wow. They like hockey. There's a North Stars jersey there. He's not actually in the fight. He was helping break it up, but they're tossing the people who threw the jersey on the ice. That's crazy. That's been something that's been a big bone of contention, obviously, in Toronto. No respect for the jersey is something that hockey players will tell you is an absolute no-no. Never let your jersey hit the floor. Don't step on the logo. There's all of that.
I was surprised it was Ben Scrivens who skated over, picked up the jersey, and threw it back over the glass to the fans. We're still roaring here in Edmonton. Most excitement they've had all night because the Oilers have provided very little. 15 shots on goal and only a couple of high-quality chances tonight. Inside 3 minutes remaining. An update on everything going on in the Western Conference playoff race coming up. In Wild Live, the Ducks have tied it on a goal by Francois Beauchemin in Calgary. Kevin Gorg and Wes Walls back in the studio will break it all down. Loose puck in the high slot. Koivu fires! And it deflects to the corner. In behind Pominville. Niederreiter trying to hold it in. Koivu grabs a loose puck. Another good night for Koivu after he won it in overtime in Calgary on Wednesday. A couple of assists tonight for the Minnesota captain. Yakupov tried to center. Koivu's right there for Minnesota. Off the boards and out to center ice. Schultz has it for the Oilers. Fires it in. Devin Dubnyk. 16th consecutive start for Minnesota. Since Dubnyk arrived in the Twin Cities, he's played 896 minutes coming into tonight. More than any goaltender in the league. All but 37 and a half minutes that were played by Kemper in relief in Detroit, the last game before the All-Star break. Every city we visit, you get the question, how many games can Dubnyk play? Mike Yeo answers it simply every time. Any night that Devin Dubnyk says he's ready to play. Granlund's shot kicked out by Scrivens. Parisi in the corner, centers! Fontaine scores! Says he's ready. Granlund's shot kicked out by Scrivens. Parisi in the corner, centers! Fontaine scores! His second of the night! And the Wild lead it 4-0.
Well, Fontaine gets his now. Absolutely stole. Well, Fontaine gets his payback. Scrivens absolutely stole one from him earlier in the game, and maybe he feels a sense of reward now as he gets this puck. Quick little feed. Parisi just a backhander and the one-timer in front. Good combination there as the guys coming together nicely.
Mike Yeo just constructed this line for tonight's game. I mentioned it.
Good combination there as the guys coming together nicely.
Mike Yote just constructed this line for tonight's game. I mentioned it earlier that he said Fontaine could bring a little bit more board presence to that line. Here Coyle fires. Now a centering pass, the puck loose, and picked up by Ollie. But he said he's capable of playing both games. Kristan's had more than one goal in a game. He had a hat-trick in Phoenix just over a year ago. Dumba sends it cross ice for Scandella. Drops to Vanek. Vanek looking for support. Wines fires. Blocked by Hendricks. Long rebound off the end boards. Clear to the line, but Prosser holds. Prosser sends it down low. And we're inside 10 seconds. Devin Dubnyk making his 16th start for Minnesota. Will earn his 6th shutout of the year, his 5th in those 16 games with the Wild. Unbelievable run for the Wild's goaltender.
He continues to provide. Now, you could talk about the fact that the Wild protected well, but there are times in a game, 2 moments, when he comes up with a big save and keeps the Wild rolling the other way. And Devin Dubnyk has been stellar.
The only goaltender in the league with more shutouts right now is Marc-Andre Fleury with 8. Our 10-star star of the game, the man that provided him support, Justin Fontaine with 2 goals. And Fontaine has been on a roll for Minnesota lately. Kevin Gorgie's one of many that has stepped up and taken advantage of opportunity for the Wild since the All-Star break.
Yeah, Anthony, nice way to finish the triple. Break it all down on Wild Live, presented by CenturyLink. We'll take a look at Devin Dubnyk's performance. We'll hear from the head coach, Mike Yote. We'll also preview the big matchup Sunday with the Dallas Stars. Wild winning Edmonton 4-0. Stay here.